HeroScape is back, baby!
It's back. HeroScape. After, oh man, 12 years, it's back. Well, 9 months? Man, I'm losing track of time here. HeroScape is back. Hopefully that's the last time I have to say that. Renegade Games has picked up the HeroScape license. Unlike the failed Hasbro Pulse campaign, this time HeroScape should be back for real. Hasbro Pulse campaign, where HeroScape only got $1 million. Renegade Games clearly saw that and was like, oh wow, a lot of people like HeroScape. I'm one of those people. And to celebrate HeroScape returning, gonna go through a HeroScape Master Set tier list. Now, the original HeroScape Master Set, it came out in 2005. I still have HeroScape miniatures. In fact, I got two 90-gallon bins of it. I got a lot of hours, a lot of time invested into the game, mostly building maps. I understand some people watching this video might not know how HeroScape works, so really briefly, HeroScape is a miniatures game. It's built on a hex board. Hex board you actually build, so the game comes with terrain. It's one of the appeals of the game. Unit-based activation, you have either hero units of one little dude, there's some dudettes as well, or squads. You have attack dice, defense dice, one roll each. You have a lot of ranged attacks, you have melee attacks. Uses line of sight actually in the board. There's no blobs of units. Every model is its own thing and has an area where you can hit it. It's actually a very nice, in my opinion, like streamlined version of miniature tabletop gaming rules. It's the actual HeroScape cards are, they're strangely shaped, about the size of your hand. You have 2 or 3 abilities on each card at most. You can draft an army the day you're playing it. You don't have to come with a book and having already studied. You can show up, learn the game, build an army in a night, and then play it. I mean, first you have to wait until someone finishes building the map, and then you play it. Without further ado, here's the tier list. Going alphabetically here. First one is Agent Carr. Agent Carr, known to some as Will Smith with a big sword. Of course, my boiler turns on whenever I record this. Agent Carr has both range and a very strong melee attack. Agent Carr is a C tier hero. C for Carr. He's really close to B tier, but Agent Carr just doesn't do anything special. Given the other options you have in the core set, he's one guy. He doesn't put out a lot of firepower. He can kind of do a number of things to kind of survive. His defense isn't great. He's got good melee attacks, but a good melee attack, but he doesn't have a great way to get into melee combat. He doesn't bond, which is the HeroScape term for basically move with any units or anything like that. So it's a pretty standard unit. I don't mind having Agent Carr on the team. It's not too expensive either. His point total is, I think, 100, maybe 110. The right answer would be that'll be on screen. So Agent Carr for me, high C tier. I think a lot of these units are going to be B tier. So somewhere probably of the low B tiers are getting bumped into C tier, and the high B tiers are getting bumped into A tier. Second unit, the Airborne Elite. The Airborne Elite might be the most interesting unit in the HeroScape Master Set. When you draft onto your team, any round of the game, then you roll to see if they actually, I guess, jump out of the plane. They're a B tier unit. What they have going for them is excellent range, and when they drop, you can place them exactly where you want them on the board. They don't even need to be close together. It's a really cool tactical advantage there. The reason they're only B tier is because they have almost no defense, and you have very little control on when they actually show up. They also have a grenade special attack, but the grenades aren't that powerful. You're really using them for their range spread across the board. So it's a high risk, high reward unit. Fun when they get into play. And I'll leave it at that. B tier for Airborne Elite. One thing you'll notice with HeroScape, if you're not familiar with it, is you have a mix of themes. You have historical themes, you have modern themes like themed units like the Airborne Elite, and futuristic themed units like Agent Carr. Third unit we have is Deathwalker 9000. Deathwalker 9000, I'm gonna bump him up to the A tier, but it's close. He's almost still on the B tier. Deathwalker 9000 is a ranged unit with an explosion attack where you attack something and you also get everything next to it, potentially. The way the game plays with soulborgs, though, they have a very high defense dice. Their wounds number, or their life number, is very low. So Deathwalker 9000 only has 1 life. So you can only take 1 wound, but your defense number is high. It's like 8, I believe. You could last the whole game and take on attacks left and right, or you could be gone in turn 1. It's a very swingy unit in that way. So it's A tier because it's bulky, and also because it gives a boost to other Soulborgs that come in the Master Set. We'll get to those later. Next hero is Finn, the Viking champion. Finn is a C tier unit. He's almost going to go up to B tier. So here's how Finn works. Finn is a single unit. It's a hero unit. Finn gives +1 attack to friendly neighboring units. Then when Finn gets destroyed, Finn gets +1 attack to his spirit basically goes on to another unit that you have. So it's a cool ability. That's kind of all he does. That's all he really needs to do. There's no real special synergies amongst Vikings out of the Master Set, so that's what Finn does. You know what? I'm going to cross this one off. Finn I'm actually going to put up as B tier. The reason why this is a good ability is because your opponent is actually incentivized to not destroy Finn. When you have that, you can be more aggressive with Finn, and sometimes your opponent will hurt themselves in trying not to kill Finn because they don't want Finn to go up on like a dragon that you have or anything like that and give him the +1 attack. So a very crafty player can use Finn to great effect. Maybe a little bit expensive for what he is. Finn's the stronger of the Viking heroes we'll see in the core set. Barely. Next hero here, Grimnak. Grimnak is a freaking orc on a dinosaur. Can't do much better than cooler than that, right? So Grimnak's also one of the box art, cover boys here. If it wasn't enough that there's a dragon on the cover here for HeroScape, there's also an orc riding a dinosaur. Grimnak is A tier unit. Yeah, maybe borderline B tier, but probably A tier. I might be a little bit. I said everyone was going to be B tier. Now nobody's going to be B tier. Grimnak is A tier. Grimnak has the ability to chomp nearby squad units. So if you walk up to Grimnak with your little dude, like a little squad unit, he'll just eat you. Pretty cool ability. Grimnak would be higher if Grimnak's a B tier. You know what? Screw it. He's a B tier. I'm just going to be honest. He's a B tier unit because his defense is pretty terrible. He can just be peppered from range. Scary unit. All the eyes are going to be on him once he gets into the front lines. So Grimnak is a B tier. I will say this, not in the Master Set, but Grimnak does get some synergies with other orcs or gruts, as they're referred to in HeroScape. I should probably mention that they're called gruts. All the units that ride get in an ack for whatever reason. So nice little flavor there. The next unit that we have is the Izumi Samurai. There's a lot of samurai in HeroScape. The Izumi Samurai, though, they're a C tier unit at best. It's a unique squad of 3 samurai, so you only get the 3. They have strong defense, 5 defense, and they have counter strength. What that means in HeroScape terms is when they're defending, if they roll more shields, then you roll skulls. So if they out-roll you, those excess shields become hits against you. So if you wouldn't want to attack the Izumi Samurai with someone that has an attack number of 1 or 2, maybe even 3, because you're likely to get outnumbered. You don't really have to worry about that much if your attack numbers are up to 5 or 6, because again, attack dice have better odds than defense dice. Izumi Samurai, if they had a defense number that was maybe higher, maybe 6 or 7, I think they'd be more usable, but the fact they're a unique squad and their defense is only 5 is why they're stuck at about, that like C tier range. It's a very cool ability. I haven't seen necessarily that type of mechanic that's such a cool defensive mechanic in a game like that before. I might be wrong. That might be very common. I don't believe it is. Next unit here, the Krav Maga agents. S tier. The Krav Maga agents, believe it or not, do not do hand-to-hand combat as you might expect Krav Maga agents to do. Krav Maga agents are effectively like a group of Men in Black themed agents that are very strong from range and have excellent defense from range. It's a unique squad like all the other squads in the Master Set, so you only get the 3 of them. If they're at range, if they roll 1 shield, that is, out of their 3 defense dice, it blocks all damage. Now, no matter how strong the attack is that your opponent's trying to hit you with from range, you got a pretty good chance of surviving it. So the Krav Maga agents they're excellent. They're own the board type of units. When you're playing HeroScape and you're building your own maps, you're gonna want to try and get the map done a lot of the time, especially if you're doing a custom map and not map that's a recommended map that comes with the game. A lot of these maps, especially people who aren't experienced map makers, are going to be wide open for range. So range units have a major advantage in HeroScape, as do squads. Even though no squad units, all the individual models and squads in HeroScape have only 1 life each. Just the fact that they're so spread out and they don't need to clump together, there's another advantage there. So Krav Maga agents are not the cheese of HeroScape, but they're kind of the typical dominant HeroScape unit. All right, moving on to the next squad. Cover boys, or at least one of them is. I don't know which one of them is a cover boy. The Marro Warriors. So this is a squad of 4. The Marro Warriors are cool. So Marro are actually an interesting theme. There are a lot of Marro units in HeroScape. They're kind of like skeleton dudes, but with a lot of bone marrow showing in a way. Reminds me of kind of like Terminators, but actual metal skeleton Terminators, but not metal skeletons, just bone. The Marro Warriors have, their ability is water clone. They're a unique squad, and they only have 4 models in the squad. They can regenerate if you're near water. And the master set comes with water tiles. And there are other fun mechanics to do with water, so you're likely to play in a map that has water somewhere. So what you can do with the Marro Warriors, since you get 4 of them, you send out 3. And once they're all done, you start using that final Marro Warrior held back and then just start cloning. Very Necron, I'd say. Maybe I should just call my Necrons the Marro Warriors. Marro Warriors, I actually forgot to say what the tier is that they are. Marro Warriors are a B tier. They're not quite strong enough to be an A tier, but the water clone means that they're fun and they can be very difficult for your opponent to manage. If they had a little bit more strength from range, then your opponent may need to stretch themselves out to make sure that they wipe out all the Marro Warriors. As a group of 3, they're just not that dangerous, but it is a nice little gimmick to throw on your opponent. And well, it's really a tactic. It's not a gimmick. What am I saying? All right, Marro Warriors are in the B tier. Next unit, also a Marro unit, Ne-Gok-Sa, whose name goes by all of the way all the Marro names go is the 3 somewhat random syllables hyphenated together. Ne-Gok-Sa is the first one of them. The cover boy of HeroScape. Ne-Gok-Sa is A tier, and only partly because of how good Ne-Gok-Sa is. Ne-Gok-Sa actually isn't that great as an actual unit, but Ne-Gok-Sa's ability, Mind Shackle, roll a d20, and on a 20, you take control of an enemy unit. It is the single most fun ability that I've ever played with in a miniatures game. I have played in games too where Ne-Gok-Sa has gotten multiple mind shackles in play in a single game. You always have a chance when you have Ne-Gok-Sa because you have that ability. It's not even a mechanic you could realistically work into other games. Just watching my cats walk around, mind shackle me. We're trying to figure out how to do that. There aren't a lot of other games where you have the type of unit drafting system where you could realistically take units from your opponent team and put them on your team. Like, you're not going to do that in Warhammer. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that in Bolt Action.
Are we the baddies?
But you can do it in HeroScape. You just take the card, move it over, read the card, and after about 30 seconds, you know exactly how that unit works. In fact, you probably already did know how it works because it wasn't that much to learn. The Arcs is pretty fun. Next unit is the other S tier unit. Made it sound like there was only one S tier unit, and there actually are 2 in the core set, or in the master set for HeroScape. And the next S tier unit is Raelin, Kyrie Warrior. Kyrie are basically Valkyries that come up with winged creatures. They're kind of like the leader type characters of HeroScape. There is a whole lore to HeroScape that is kind of fleshed out a bit. There's some storytelling, but I didn't get too much into what Kyrie are exactly. But yeah, it's based on the idea of a Valkyrie, I guess. There are male and female Kyries in the game. Anyway, Raelin is a defense aura unit. So it's a single hero unit, but any unit within 4 of Raelin gets +2 defense dice. A new version of Raelin ended up coming out later too, that has a slightly different defense order. But Raelin, if you're drafting units, like if you took the master set and you just went back and forth drafting units, Krav Maga and Raelin would almost always be the top 2 picks. That extra defense bonus, especially bulking up anyone that you have with range, it's a combination you can't beat. Raelin, as a result, is also going to be the target of your opponents, and Raelin actually can take some hits, isn't terribly fragile. You can protect Raelin realistically too, because I also believe the wings don't count as the targeting zone. Pretty cool idea with the Kyrie in the game. Not gonna lie, I like it. Next unit, Sergeant Drake Alexander. Sergeant Drake is an A tier unit. So Sergeant Drake's really ability is Thorian speed, which means that Sergeant Drake basically can't be hit by range, at least by a normal attack. Which is really strong. Drake also has a very good melee attack. You would think a modern soldier would have better ranged attack, but he doesn't. Also has an ability that isn't going to be used very much, so his grappling arm, which is a big part of his sculpt. I mean, honestly, you're playing games out of the course master set, unless you're not going to have enough elevation that you're realistically using the grappling arm that much. Like, a very niche situation. You almost want to sometimes you'll build a map because you want to build a map to say, hey, Drake Alexander can use his grappling arm in this map. So you're not going to use it that much. Really, Drake's just a good unit because heroes can be a little bit vulnerable, a little bit shaky in HeroScape, but he's not. So he's fast, so you can't shoot him. The next character is, in my opinion, might as well have been licensed character from a movie from a couple of years before the game came out. Syvarris is the Legolas of HeroScape. Syvarris has the best range of any unit in the core set, so Syvarris is double attack, and he's an elf. He's the only elf in the core set. It's nice that they have a Legos character, although they didn't come out with any dwarf characters until the Axe Grinders of Burning Forge and Mogrim Forge Hammer much later. I don't know what they were thinking there. Like, come on, just do the dwarf. But they got the elf in there, and Syvarris, even though when you zoom in on him, he doesn't paint job, could be a little bit better. But very good range unit. Double attack from range of 9. He's the sniper, and plus, with range like that, you can buff up with Raelin. There are a number of things you can do. So Syvarris, honestly, is usually going to be one of the first units to get an attack off in the game when you play it. Syvarris, I need to actually give a tier rating. Syvarris is A tier. Let's see, I haven't missed anybody, right? Nope, Syvarris is A tier. A little bit of weak defense. Maybe you could argue bumping down to the B tier, but nah, Syvarris is an A tier unit. So the Tarn Viking Warriors. The Tarn are a D tier, unfortunately. They're the weakest of the master set. Even though I like Vikings, so I like to think that they'd be higher. And they actually have a nice variety of sculpts for the unit too. They almost look like they're all different heroes. That's not really the case in a lot of units that came out even in this game, much less other games. So what the Tarn Viking Warriors do is they have a Berserker Charge ability where right out of the gate they can do extra movement to go engage your item. But because like all the other squads, hold on. It doesn't know I'm finishing a video. Because they're in the master set, they're a unique squad, so you only get the 4 of them. They don't really get any synergies with... Wait a second. I'm definitely missing a unit here. Oh, I'll get into it in a second. The Tarn Viking Warriors don't get any synergies with Finn, or really anyone else. They're kind of an afterthought. They're not super strong. If you have them, they're cannon fodder. Pretty good for cannon fodder, but they're a D tier. You actually have much better cannon fodder that comes out later in the game too. All right, the next unit is Thorgrim, the Viking champion. So Finn's brother is the defense version of Finn. Thorgrim is any unit next to him +1 defense, and then when Thorgrim bites the dust, his dust gets reformed into like a shield or something like a ghost shield. Someone else gets to use +1 defense. Another unit that your opponent is going to intentionally try not to take out, but because he only does the boost to defense, which isn't as nice as the boost to offense. Thorgrim's a C tier, like real close to Finn. They're kind of the same. The other cover board HeroScape, which is Mimring, the dragon. So, it wasn't enough that we have a dinosaur. We also got a dragon, right? And that big skeleton dude. So, great cover for HeroScape. A lot of kids probably liked that cover too. I mean, I liked it. I guess I was kind of a kid. I had money at least. Mimring is in the B tier. Mimring is a glass cannon. He's also a glass cannon that can't really aim. It's like kind of like click aiming. So Mimring has like very weak defense for a dragon that can be shot from anywhere, but then his fire line attack, that's probably a she, something where you can shoot only in a straight line on a hex grid, because HeroScape's on a hex grid. Now if you imagine a hex grid coming up from a 2 hex unit, you can shoot this way, and then you shoot this way, and then this way, but the ones in between, like it's like I don't see you. I can't shoot you. So that's the problem with Mimring. Sometimes you can get a nice attack though, because it's a fireline attack, meaning you hit everyone in a row of 8 hexes. But it's a little tough to pull it off because of that. Mimring is going to attract enough attention though that having Mimring on your team is a good thing, and Mimring isn't crazy expensive either. Next unit here, the Zettian Guards. The Zettian Guards are Deathwalker 9000's little Soulborg buddies. They kind of help each other. There's actually some synergy amongst the Soulborgs in the Master Set. But the Zettian Guards are only... Zettian Guards are only a C tier, in my opinion. They can shoot from range, but it's a squad of 2. They have the Soulborg thing, but they only have 1 life. They have 7 defense. What happens also is if they both target the same unit, the second one of them gets an extra attack die. But there's just not enough there. I've never seen the Zettian Guards win a game, or I've never seen them win a game or do anything of note. There's one more unit to go through here that was only in the Walmart exclusive versions of the Master Set. The main places I would buy them would be either Walmart or Toys R Us, believe it or not. I remember making trips with a buddy I haven't seen in over 10 years. No, going trips with him to Toys R Us. Got in an accident in the parking lot once, but it was worth it though. It's still a nice memory. First or second promo figures in the history of the game. And then they just got rolled into this Master Set, and they're the Elite Onyx Vipers. So they're repaints of the VNOC Vipers. The Elite Onyx Vipers, tough to compare to the rest of the Master Set because I didn't play with them with the Master Set characters. So it's a little bit tougher to grade them. I'm going to give them a C tier. B tier. B tier. The Elite Onyx Vipers are fast, and you can't really hit them from range. And it's cool that you actually can get a promo figure. So if you want to look at the promo figures for HeroScape, they're also really hard to get. You have Sir Hawthorne, you have Nirak, the Glacian Swag Rider, Master Winchu Wu. That one is a little bit easier to get. Agent Skahen is impossible to get. I really been looking for Agent Skahen because the version we had was basically a repainted agent, because all the promos are kind of just repaints, but now that I know how to actually paint miniatures, I kind of want to do it myself because this Agent Skyhand was repainted with a ballpoint pen. So I don't know, I'll have to take care of that at some point. But yeah, anyway, as far as promos go, Elite Onyx Vipers they're like a better version in some ways of the Tarn Viking Warriors because they can just do an initial like almost alpha strike kind of a charge beginning of the game and maybe take out an opponent or two. Yeah, they're pretty strong, but that master set came out a little bit later. It was, to be honest, most of the play with Elite Onyx Vipers came much later in the game, so they get kind of mixed in everyone else. So I don't think I missed anyone. I am beyond excited that the game is coming back. Hope you enjoyed this video. It's Jackson Warfield's Game Room. See you in the next one.